Well, hey there, this is Jerry, and I was getting started on another episode of What's Broke today. And what we got today is it's a Gravely. It's a 60-inch cut, zero turn. I think a ZTHD maybe. Oh no, it's a Pro Turn 160. Should have looked at that before I sat down. So Gravely Pro Turn 160. It has a Kohler engine on it, the ZT740. I think it's a 25 or 26 horsepower engine, and it it was running good, and all of a sudden started running poorly, like it's only running on one cylinder. Of course, I did check the oil, and it was good. And like when he dropped it off, he unloaded it. You could tell it was running poorly. I just really dog it. I'd say it's running on one cylinder. Um, Another thing I noticed when I shut the engine off, had this goofy rattle. So, well, I think what I'm going to start out with, because when you got something that's only running on one cylinder, or you think it is, you got options on how you want to start checking. You know, you could start out by pulling spark plugs and seeing what they look like. Um, what I'm going to do is I have this El Cheapo infrared heat gun. Um, I was kind of curious about that rattle, and I hadn't started this thing in a few days. So probably gonna move the camera up a little closer, get it situated on the engine, and then crank it and see if we hear this rattle or if I see anything. Because yeah, I was sitting on the seat when I shut it off, so I really couldn't watch. But I don't know if the camera will make a difference. But I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move a little closer and get it set up. We're a little closer. Let's see. That's choke. I'm gonna go ahead and put it down close to idle just to see. And let's turn the key on and then. And actually, I don't know if you could see that, but um, the engine is loose on the frame. Yeah, yeah. So that's probably what my rattle is the engine mounting bolts are loose. Um, so let's start this up again. Let it run a little more. Now, which you probably, I don't know if you could see me or not, but I took my infrared thermometer. When I shined this on the left side, the exhaust was already at 240. Shined it on the right side, I was only at 69 degrees. So, I'm going to start out with, I'm going to pull this spark plug out. With the engine being loose, it's very difficult to judge all the noises coming from this engine. Let's pull that out. That plug doesn't look terribly bad other than all the crud built up on it. But it is definitely not very warm. I'll put that there. I'll go ahead and pull the other plug out because when I go to crank it and check for spark, I don't want it to start. Okay. and it's a Kohler engine that someone has stuck the Briggs and Stratton branded spark plugs in it, but it doesn't matter because a V-twin Briggs and a V-twin Kohler both use the same spark plug, RC12YC. Okay, so that's up against the valve cover, and there is no spark there. And let's see. Well, I know this one's sparking, but I'm still gonna turn the key and look anyway, just and see how strong the spark is, if I can get that up where I can see it. It may not work. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, a very strong spark. And absolutely no spark. So, just for the heck of it, I'm going to stick my finger up in there. Okay, we have compression, but there is all kinds of junk when I stick my finger up it by the spark plug hole. Lots of junk up there. And I'm going to grab a different spark plug. And this isn't really the correct plug. Not at all the correct plug for this, but it should still spark. And we have no spark, so I'm going to get some tools ready. And let's pull this upper cover off and look underneath there at that coil and get in there and figure up what's going on. Okay, start out with, I'm on a 10 millimeter and get the fuel pump loose. I'm going to move to an 8 millimeter, and I think these on this one, yeah, with this is, you got to always check and make sure, but sometimes you got to totally remove the bolts. This one, all you got to do is just loosen them and get the flange part of the head out a little ways so it can clear and the top shroud could slide up off. Okay, we got that coming loose, and of course got to pull the dipstick up so we can slide that up off there. So we can put the dipstick back in its hole. I'm just going to set that kind of out of the way, and there is a lot of crud up in there. We'll need to blow all that out, but one of the first things I wanted to look for was checking this kill wire and seeing if I could see any place where it looked like it had been chewed on, like a mouse or something might have got up there. And then I'm actually going to grab the spark plug that belongs over here, and there's a kind of grass built up. I'll put the bad plug there and lay it up top so I can see if that plug even sparks on that side. And then I'll take the good plug I know that sparks, lay it on this side, someplace where it'll have ground. And then this wire here, when you shut the key off, This goes to ground and shorts out the coil. Is what stops the spark. So here we go. I'm going to crank it over. And the other side sparks like a banshee. This side didn't spark at all. So I'm going to pull this ignition coil off. I'll leave the spark plug here. Oh, all right, so I'm going to go dig through my stash and see if I can find another ignition coil. So I'll be back. Okay, I got my genuine Kohler ignition coils. These are part number 32 584 25-S. And I did get 2 of them. And when we put these on, we'll put them on the same orientation we took the old ones off, which was with the kill terminal up and the spark plug wire up. You know, because we put them on upside down. It may work, but it won't work right. So put those through there. And then start that. And I'm going to pull that as far back away from the flywheel as I can get it. And then just snug these down. Let's go ahead and unbox number 2. Hi, Ash, and hi, Trouble. Move it and magnetic it to the rollover protection device. And I'm just going to turn that because the magnet was pointing at this coil. Unplug that and go ahead and plug that one back in. Pull that one off, and this one still works. So I'm going to probably mark it, and I'll save it for a test coil. But I'm doing them both mainly because they, you figure they both got about the same age on them. And it's easier to just go ahead and do them both while I'm here. Even though in all, we could get by with just doing the bad one. But that's not, I prefer not to just do one. But I want to get it fixed, fix it right, and only work on it once. Whereas if it was mine here at the house and it, quit on me later, that'd be a whole different ball game. But, him having to load it up, haul it over here, it's a pain. And now the next thing we got to do once we get them on here, we got to get the gap between the ignition module, coil assembly, and the magnet. To do that, we'll use our good old What's Broke Today business card. So I'm just going to roll this around and get that magnet square with that ignition coil. I'm going to take my business card and put in between the flywheel and the coil. I'm just going to loosen this up and let the magnets pull it up against the flywheel. And I can tighten this down. Okay. Now I'm just going to rotate that and push the business card out. Then change sides. I'll turn that around. Oh, actually I got it. Didn't pull it back all the way. Oh, I got ash here at my feet. Okay. And square that up. And I use a business card because the thickness of it is just about the right for the clearance between the flywheel and the magnet. Um, they do make brass things to put in between there. The main thing you don't want to use is something made out of steel. And I should say I've been told that. I don't really know the reasoning behind that. Then the other thing I want to go get is I'm going to put in new spark plugs. But just for now, we'll slide that down on there and lay it up there on the engine. Oh, come over here. Do the same thing there. And lay that on the engine and make sure I got that plug turned around where I can see it spark. I'm gonna actually put my glasses on. Put my card back in my billfold so I have it next time I need it. Okay, then we're just gonna turn the key and turn the parking brake back on. And I see spark. I see spark. Also sounds like when it's cranking, it's got an idler pulley that's rattling, or bearing's bad. Okay, so what I need to get is my new spark plugs, and I got to take this outside because I don't know if you can see all the crap that's down in there, that dirt that impedes airflow from cooling. I got a ton on this side and just a little bit on the other side. So let me go get spark plugs and we'll put them in and then fire this up. Spark plug number 1. Which actually this is be spark plug number 2 because cylinder 1 is the one that's closest to the flywheel. And easiest way to tell on these is looking at the pedestals that those coils are bolted onto. And whichever one has the longest pedestals is number 2. Thing I always put in by hand is spark plugs. And it's mainly because I don't want to cross thread them. Okay. Now I'm just going to start this and run it for just a little bit just to hear it. So yeah, so we're hitting on 2 cylinders now. You know what I need to do before I actually go any farther? I got to fix those engine mounting bolts. So I might as well do that while I'm in here on the concrete. So I'm going to get my floor jack, a couple jack stands, and a rug to lay on. Okay, as we crawl underneath here, you can see 1, 2, probably 3, yeah, right, 3, and 4 engine bolts. I'm going to start out by pulling them out one at a time and looking at them. So let me see if I can get the camera set up. Okay, I got my impact. So actually I'm going to go up here to the front one first, and I can pull that one out. Okay. And this gravely is better than most because this one does have a bolt with a flanged head. So it kind of looks like a washer. But if you look real close, you can see where it's smooth and shiny. Well, I'm going to swap that bolt out with a whiz-lock bolt that has the serrated teeth on it. And one of the things I look at is how dirty that bolt is. And I always take spray brake clean up in the hole. And then I'm going to block the camera so the brake clean don't hit my camera and blow that hole out. Okay, that's okay. Because I want that hole to dry. Now I'm going to take my new bolt and I'm going to take red thread lock and apply to the threads. And in this case, I'm going to reach up. Well, that's what I'm going to put on my extension. I'm trying to reach over with my hand and start it, and my hand don't really fit. Everything I'm dealing with here is belts. Let's see if I can get it partially started. And get my hand up there. Do a little more. I'm going to see if I can tighten that without having two extensions on. And I'm going to get up on that and tighten that one up. Now I'm just going to move to the one on the other side, which I'm just going to reach over with my fingers and feel and pull it out. Of course, and that actually is really clean, but still they don't have the serrated teeth on the head. So I will red Loctite that one and see if I can. Yeah, I gotta get my head around where I can see. And my big hand don't fit up there. But I can put that on the extension. Get that started. I can take my impact. Since both of those are tight, I'm going to pull both of these rear ones out at the same time. And I'm basically looking on the threads to see if they are nasty and greasy. And if you can see, the one has a bunch of black stuff on it. The other one looks fairly clean. So we're going to brake clean the hole that had all the nasty stuff. And of course, move it out of the way so the brake clean don't hit the light. I'm just going to stick that up there and block the camera. And The I don't want to get the brake clean on my lens or any body part of my camera because it's brake clean's hard on plastic, so I don't want to damage my GoPro. They cost too much money not to take care of them. And then the other thing I'm looking at here when I pull those bolts out is to see if that hole is still round. And if it's still round, then I call it good. If it happens to be egg-shaped, I would end up taking a washer and putting on one of my old bolts, and then I'd clean the paint off around that hole, put a grade 8 washer on there, and end up welding a washer to the bottom of the frame to make the hole round again. Because, I mean, if you actually took this to the Gravely dealer, they would tell you if those holes are egg-shaped, you got to have a new frame. But me welding that grade 8 washer on it works really good. And a lot of times, that's not the actual washer I normally use. I normally get the thicker ones, and they end up being a little bigger around. And luckily, all of those, I mean, these bolts had just started to come loose. So we caught this in the early stages. But the ones that I see most often that cause the problem is when we have these bolts that don't have the washered heads or a flange head. If it's just a regular hex head going up there, those tend to come loose quicker and tend to waller the holes out more. But that should have that squared away with the red thread lock and the whiz lock bolts. I don't think that'll ever come loose again. And while I'm down here, I'm going to take the transmissions and put the bypass valves back in drive position so I can get this ready to take it outside and clean up that engine where the that muck is underneath in the cooling fins. Okay, well, I come out and I used my air compressor and a long blow gun and blew out all that crud that's down in the cooling fins. Then all we gotta do is put our top back on. One of the tricky things of putting this down on is where those spark plug wires come out from underneath this cover. They kind of go down into a slot that's in that metal, shroud. Get that one. It's just a little looser over here. Once we get that down on there, then we can tighten up these cover screws. Okay. Put our air filter lid on. Okay, well, that's got us all put back together. The only thing I got left now is take this bad boy out for a test. Well, I want to check the oil. Take out for a test drive. Well, I took our Gravely out for a ride, and engine runs great, but when you kick the blades on, the deck is excessively noisy. And some of that is this belt cover. Two of the bolts where it holds this cover on is loose. So I'm going to start out with going and getting these, make sure these are good and tight. Oh, left my socket got stuck underneath. I have to raise that up so I can see the. Because I'm going to take the blades off and sharpen and balance the blades. First thing I'm going to do is pull this belt off, going between the engine and the deck. And a little noisy. That's a little noisy. I'm not sure how much money he has to spend. So that's why I was going to try and figure out what all was going on and then let him pick and choose how much money he spends. Okay. So this outer one, very noisy. Yeah, so this outer one here is probably the noisiest. So I'll have to write him up an estimate and see what if he wants to fix that or not. Well, I'm going to wrap up this video on the Pro Turn 160 that I called him about the mower deck, and we're going to hold off for now because I'd have to take this apart and get the number off the bearings, because when you look up blade spindle parts for a Gravely, they only show the whole assembly, and they're like $240, $250 each. When all I do is take them apart and replace the bearings, because as long as the bearing hasn't spun in the housing or spun on the shaft, you can put new bearings in it, go back together, and you're good to go. But like I say, Gravely just doesn't list the part number for those bearings, and I don't remember off the top of my head what that part number is. But it's a lot easier to put in, say, two $15 bearings, maybe $20 bearings, versus a $250 part, and that's still plus tax. It is a lot quicker to change it that way, but I can't see throwing away good stuff. We can just replace a bearing. So, but we do got the engine running good. I sharpened the blades and balanced them, and I think it's one that was over here was extremely out of balance. That it looked like it had been sharpened just holding it up against a grinding wheel and going after it. And I got my nice belt sander blade sharpener that puts a super sharp edge on it. So but I got all three sharpened, all three balanced, all back on there. it was raining just a little bit ago, so I didn't go for a drive. But tomorrow I'll get this out, take it for a drive, do a little cutting, see what the deck sounds like. Because just tightening up the bolts on those belt covers is going to make a world of difference. We should just be down to hearing bearing noise out of the deck, because it's not like if you grab the blade, and move it up and down, it don't have, I don't feel no play, but when you spin it, it sounds like there's no grease in the bearings. So, but other than that, I think this thing's ready to go. That I have to give him a call after I go drive it tomorrow. But hey, I do appreciate you watching. Thank you for all those thumbs up for the likes. I appreciate all those comments. I'll say I appreciate everybody that has subscribed to my channel. That yeah, I'll say didn't ever think I'd have, because last time I checked, I was like at 1,275. So we just keep growing from there. But thank you for watching, and anybody out there that's not a subscriber, better join on in, because they'll tell them what else you're going to see on What's Broke Today. Thank you.